for me, it was about lifestyle as well. I wanted a better lifestyle, I wanted a better future, I wanted choices. If you're prepared to commit and put the work in, you do get rewarded.
It's so wonderful when someone actually just follows the process. So Cara, when we first met about 12 months ago, you joined Mastermind with one beauty salon with £150,000 of annual revenue. You now own 7 with a combined revenue of £1.3 million. Tell me, how did you do it?
Well, I came into your program in the May, June time of last year, and literally just followed everything you said. So literally
music to my ears. And it's so wonderful when someone actually just follows the process.
Yeah. I mean, I had nothing to compare it to be honest. I think when I first came across you on Facebook, I was like, I heard you say you can buy a business with no money down. And I was like, that's not real. That just doesn't happen. So then I came onto one of your webinars, watched that, and I was like, oh my God, this actually does exist. I always thought you went out and borrowed loads of money to buy a business. So
use your house as security for it. Yeah.
So that was my view. So I signed up. I think you had a 3-day webinar. It was 3 consecutive days. I only watched 2. And by the end of that, I was like, yeah, I've got to do it. I want to grow. Growing organically like I did was hard work. It took years. It costs lots of, it just takes up lots of time. So literally went into your group, followed all of the training videos, straight away sent out the letters. I think I've only ever sent out about 300 letters.
Okay.
In the last year.
Yeah.
So not a huge amount. We've now started to send out another lot because we now know a little bit more about where we want to go.
And also you're building up your deal flow again.
Yes.
Because presumably you're not going to stop at 7 salons, are you?
No.
In fact, just before we started recording, you told me you've got another 2.
Yes,
for
in
October,
the pipeline, ready to go. Yes.
Yeah, nice one. So you follow the process, you follow the system, you get the results. So tell us how the first deal was done, because most people watching and listening to this haven't done their first deal yet. So tell us about the first one.
So the first deal probably wasn't the most exciting in terms of like revenue and net profit. I mean, it did have a net profit, but, it wasn't sort of a life-changing deal. However, the seller wanted out. So we paid no deposit at all. So there was no money down on day one. And I actually didn't make the first payment on that one till 4 or 5 months in.
Okay.
So I actually took hold of...
for nothing?
For nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you said the owner wanted out. So that's our motivated seller model.
Yes.
What was the motivation in this case?
I think, and I'm sure it's probably in multiple industries, but I'm certainly seeing in the beauty aesthetic world that a lot of the owners can't get into the headspace now that people don't just walk down the high street and nip into your salon anymore. You're not the only salon on the high street. So a lot of them are selling because they don't know how to market. They don't know how to do Facebook ads. They don't want to pay out. It comes with a price tag.
Yes, they don't want to invest in their own business.
No, they don't. And they don't know where to begin. So pretty much I'd say all of our deals have been around that. But this particular one, she had owned it for about 20 odd years, I think back in the 90s. It started and it hadn't moved on since the 90s.
There's a lot of businesses in that situation. So she'd relied upon word of mouth.
Yes.
That only has a certain longevity.
Yeah.
It can't go on forever.
Yeah.
Didn't want to transition to paying for advertising, and therefore the business, I guess, was not as good as it used to be.
Yeah. So since lockdown, like when we had a look at the revenue, I think it was slowly starting to fall. And I think that's what happens. You naturally lose a percentage of your clients anyway each year. And that was starting to reflect in the figures. So it was literally at the point for her, if she didn't sell at that point, it wouldn't really be sellable at all. So, yes.
And how long did the negotiations take?
Probably a couple of weeks, not long. Not long at all in terms of negotiating. Then the actual deal to tie it up as well in the end was about 6 weeks. It was quite rapid.
It's not so bad, is it?
Yeah. So.
And asset purchase, share purchase?
Share purchase.
Okay, so did you use all the correct corporate structure?
Yes. So everything in your lesson is what we followed.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it. And actually, you ended up with an accountant who's one of our recommended.
I did, yes. On one of my deals, I was like, I recognise that name.
Yeah.
And then,
So he was the accountant for the business that you were buying?
Not that one.
Okay.
One of my later ones.
Yeah, one of the later ones. Fantastic.
Yes, yeah.
So you did the deal, so 2 weeks to negotiate the price. Was the owner slightly stunned by the fact that they weren't going to walk away with any money on day one?
Yes. I think she probably felt like she was very attached to it as well. Sure. So, like we all are, they all are attached. So yes, I think that, I think they all think that they're going to retire on millions of pounds.
Sure, because they put lots of effort in over the last 20 years, which has got no relation to how much money you're paid in the future.
Absolutely. And I just said to her, look, you've been paid over that period of time you've owned it, or you've lived, or, you've run it however you've run it, so you've taken out of it over the years. We can only pay what's written on paper. The accounts tell the story. So
very good. I like the way that you did that. So I'd like to get you back actually for another podcast to talk about what happens after you bought these businesses. That would be like a part 2. And this is where we're going to talk about the deal. So tell us about the second deal that came along. How quickly was that after the first one?
That one, I agreed heads of terms. I must have gone to visit that in about June time. So literally within weeks of joining the academy. And then that one, the heads of terms were agreed on the day of our boat party. So that was
boat party.
Yeah, so that was they were literally both agreed within a couple of weeks of each other. So I was literally went all out.
So when you buy these businesses, what are you actually buying? You're buying the right to occupy premises.
Yes.
So you're buying a location.
Yeah.
Presumably there's some equipment there as well.
Yeah, definitely. So the second deal that went through, which was agreed literally a couple of weeks after that one, we literally wanted it. It had a great reputation. It was in a great location. It had great equipment. It had, it was just financially very strong as well. So a lot stronger than the first, which was then great because it made us then as a group a lot stronger. That was the reason behind that one.
And I don't want to go through every single one of the 7 deals, but tell us some of the interesting highlights of these acquisitions and things that stand out to you. Maybe not just the positive things. Tell us some things that went wrong as well.
Yeah, so there's been positives and negatives of all of them. Some of them haven't, we haven't bought them because they're the best deals in the world. They have been strategic. So some of them have been because they've got great credit facilities, because they've got great equipment. There has been, every single one has had a different story behind why we've bought it. A lot of them I know because they don't have that marketing strategy in place, and I've got an internal marketing team. I know the minute that I turn those ads on, or whatever we put in place for that particular salon, the revenue will just go straight up. That's how I built my first business. So we've just applied the same strategy across the others.
Yeah, and I suppose you can have those ads ready to go even before you've completed, can't you?
Yeah, we just rotate them for all of them. So
so you just change the location.
Yeah, it's just my face with the machines and everything. Exactly. But yeah, they are just we just changed the area that we're targeting.
Okay. And what have you learned about negotiating as a result of these 7 deals?
I think my negotiating skills have got stronger. I think on the first one, I probably was. We got into a little bit of loggerheads, as in him and his wife wouldn't give me the prize, and I wouldn't tell them my prize.
Right.
So that was a little bit awkward. We're both sort of sat at a table, no one's going first. So that was. In the end, I just said, well, I think I've heard you say it a number of times. Well, if you're not going to tell me, we can't progress. So I need you to tell me. So yes, I had to be a bit firmer, but it did feel a bit awkward in the beginning.
Sure.
I think we've probably all experienced that. The first deal, you do feel incredibly awkward, but as time goes on and with each deal, you learn something new, and you grow in confidence. And actually now, sounds really minor, but like on my email signature, I've got multiple logos now of all the different salons I own.
Absolutely.
So now I feel like I have a bit more authority.
And credibility.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And people are actually coming to me. They're actually approaching me now to buy.
I'm not surprised in the slightest, because when someone knows that, when someone's thinking about selling and they know that you're acquisitive, then clearly they'll approach you.
Yeah.
And that puts you in a very good position, doesn't it? Because you can give them 30 minutes for them to pitch their salon to you.
Yes.
So they are presenting to you, where at the beginning you're presenting to them why you would be a good owner. Now they've got to present to you why they would be a good acquisition.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very good. So with any of these deals, did you put any personal money in?
No personal money. Very few of them had deposits, but they were used from the businesses.
Yeah, so you just recycled business cash.
Absolutely, no, but nothing from my own personal bank account.
Yeah, great. That's just the way it should be.
Yes.
But I imagine a lot has changed for you across the last 12 months, because going from one salon to multiple salons, going from 150-ish to 1.3 million-ish is quite a leap. So you must have worked really hard over the last 12 months.
Yeah, it's been a challenging 12 months. We've come up against everything. We've had the transitions of bank accounts. We've had transitions of the accounts need to be submitted. We've had internal issues with staff. A lot of staff don't always like the change.
Absolutely.
So some have left, some have come. It has been a bit like a conveyor belt, and some good, some bad. I think that's business, isn't it? You expect. I think for me personally as well, I've gone from being a therapist in a treatment room to now, CEO of this group, and I've had to change. I've had to change my mindset. I've had to change how I deal with people, because probably I'm not the best people person.
Sure.
I'm very
don't worry, you're talking to one, so I get it. Yeah.
It's like you're paid to do a job. So what's wrong?
Yes.
And that's not always gone down very well. So, we've had to put in things like a HR department now, which we have, which is absolutely amazing. 26, I think.
So it starts getting to the point where there's always a grievance, there's always an illness, there's always requests for holiday, and it just needs to be managed, doesn't it?
Yeah, and she's been absolutely phenomenal. We've brought on internal finance. We've actually got an internal sales team now, and marketing, so they call leads into the business. It's literally been. I don't know. Sometimes I think, God, how do we get through this year? Because it has just been a roller coaster. And I think probably as well, one of the other biggest things that have come out of it is when you take over these businesses, staff have found it very hard that I'm not the therapist owner like their previous. I'm this other person who has a group who then delegates to managers. We have managers in all of our sites now, which has been really, really
And the
good.
managers have replaced the owners.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they now take care of the day-to-day, and then I just focus on working with the managers who then filter everything down. But a lot of the staff, when we've taken over, have found that bit quite hard, that I'm not, well, why can't, you come down every day and see what we're doing, or, see everything. And that's been quite hard to manage as well.
Yes,
That's probably been a really big challenge. So
let me ask you about something that I don't, and I've done many of these interviews with mastermind clients over the years. Let me ask you a question I'm not sure if I've ever asked before, and you brought it up yourself, which is you've changed as a person. So let's talk more about that, because I think that the personal journey is as important as the business journey. And I always say it's not just about buying a business, it's the person you become in the process of buying a business. And you've been through so many experiences in the last 12 months, which you may sort of have been like years of previous experiences, but compacted into 12 months.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I've invested quite a bit in personal development in terms of mindset and going from therapist to that CEO leader role. So a lot around leadership and how I get my vision across, because I think before I've gone from, I just kind of communicate to myself,
Yes.
I've got this idea and I'm going to put a Facebook ad out and this is what I'm going to do, to actually, how do I share that vision across the board? Like, how do I get that out? How do I take it out of my head and share that? So I've definitely spent a lot of time getting coaching on how to become that person, how to look that person as well. So it's no longer turning up in my scrubs and my trainers and my hair up and doing.
You have to look and behave and act like a CEO.
Definitely. So that, and I think as well, like, people treat you different as well. So some people that I've been in certain industry groups, some people have been incredibly supportive and been cheerleaders, and some people have actually sort of attacked as well. So I think, you need to prepare for that. If you're going to grow and you're going to kind of be out there, a lot more that, people are going to.
Because when you own one salon, you're under the radar, aren't you?
Definitely.
But now, I don't know whether you send out press releases every time you do an acquisition.
We haven't done, no.
So that's a great tip, because if you do that in the trade publications that salon owners read, you will get a flow of deals coming to you, and it's great for, I can imagine you speaking at industry conferences about how to grow a group, and you'll have people come up to you afterwards and say, well, look, I've grown a group to like 6 or 8 or 12 salons, but I think it's now time for me to pass that on to someone else. So you could. There is just so much potential ahead of you if you want it, if you have the ambition for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've definitely got more plans to grow more.
Yes. So what are those plans, and where do you see all of this in the next few years?
My next project is to find a hotel spa now. So that's always been on my radar. To have that. I love spas, and I see a lot of spas around the UK that I think have so much more potential of what they don't offer now. I mean, I've been to a lot of spas, Dubai and, abroad, and the quality and the experiences they offer. I think I want to bring that here in the UK. So that's my next project.
Very interesting. Yeah. And of course, then you can have one of your salons in the spa, and you can see how it all works together.
Yes.
Very good. So you first found me on Facebook. You watched a webinar. You didn't believe in it at first.
No.
What and there are people out there who say, Jonathan, buying a business, surely you've got to remortgage your house in order to do it. Surely you've got to have such amazing credit that you can borrow all this money, but you still got to give your house as security. What would you say to those people?
I would say that's down to their mindset. When I look back now, I'm no one special. I don't come from a wealthy background. I'm a single mum. I brought up 2 children on my own. So I didn't have a pot of money. It definitely is in the mind. When you just literally follow the process, it works. I mean, I've proved it. But
You're the
it is
living
literally in your mind. It
Yes.
is literally in your mind. If you think I'm going to do it, I don't care how long it takes, but I'm going to follow the process, you will do it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think some people hold themselves back, don't they, by almost convincing themselves that it's got to be more difficult than that. It can't be straightforward. It has to be difficult. And you must be doing something special or have something special or have some special advantage. And that's just not the case, is it? It doesn't work like that.
No, and I think sometimes there's outside influence though, because when I started doing this, there was a lot of people outside, like friends, family groups who were like, well, how's that possible? How are you going to do that? You're going to need loads of cash, or, you need to go to the bank, or, all these things. I think with a lot of us, we do sometimes have those voices outside. And I'm quite good now at just blocking that out. So people can have their opinion, that's fine. But I'm going to go and do it anyway. So,
and I think sometimes those voices can be quite influential because they are friends and family, the people closest to you.
Yeah.
And you would have heard me say that you become the average of the people that you spend the most time with.
Definitely.
And I think one of the big advantages of Mastermind is you can instantly tap into a network of people doing exactly what you're doing who have that positive mindset and aren't going to talk you out of it. In fact, they're going to encourage you and give you help and advice and push you in the right direction.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So I noticed that a couple of weeks ago, you put something in our private LinkedIn group, which was a challenge that you were facing. And you got some, I think I jumped in with a response and other people did.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, if you were buying a business all by yourself, who would you ask? Would you go and ask your best friend for their advice? I mean, that's probably not their skill set, is it? They wouldn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely being surrounded by others who have done it. And that's why we put things in the group, because someone else might have had that same experience and how they dealt with it. So yeah, definitely being surrounded by like-minded people definitely helps you grow 100%.
Yeah. When people ask me, how do I get the most out of Mastermind? I say 2 words: it's get involved. Yeah. And the more involved you are, for example, you came on our boat party last year, didn't you?
Yes.
And just having a drink and socializing with people who are alongside you on that journey or ahead of you on that journey really starts to make a difference, because when that person can do it, you know that you can do it as well. So it builds your confidence, doesn't it?
Definitely. On that boat party, everybody that was on there was just normal, everyday people.
Yes.
I think sometimes we have this vision in our head that they're sort of like this big, spectacular person, but actually everybody is just a normal, everyday person.
Absolutely.
And to have conversations with people doing different businesses. I think one of the guys I was talking to, I bought a business and it was making tool bags, very like...
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Yes.
And it was just really like, obviously I know there's tool bags, but I never thought of buying one of those. Yes. Or, someone buying...
There's a whole business sitting behind it. Yeah.
So it was really good to hear different business experience and lots of different types of businesses as well.
And I think when you hear what other people are doing with their acquisitions, you can take those ideas and use them with your own, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely lots of helpful tips. I think it is definitely more tips on negotiation and what things to look for, asking the right questions. That's definitely been another learning journey for us as well. Each deal has got stronger.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah. do you feel then there's an evolution in your deal making? It's starting to get sort of smarter, more streetwise perhaps, because you know what to look out for.
Definitely. And I think definitely say no sometimes as well, because I've been out to look at, businesses, and I've seen the accounts and I've spoke to the owners, and I'm like, I think I do have a bit of something that doesn't feel right, even though there's nothing.
So there's a gut feel there as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And I always listen to that, whether I might be wrong or right, or I might, kick myself later on down the line. If that's there, it's a no-go straight away. So I think it's definitely been about learning to say no as well. Not every deal is a good deal, or not every deal is a deal that you want. So,
because often at the beginning of someone's deal-making journey, they've only got one business to look at, and they become a motivated buyer,
Yes.
and they have to make that business acquisition work, which means that they bend to the seller's requirements, they compromise too much, and they end up with a business on very poor terms. But it sounds like you never did that, not even at the start. It feels to me like you put your foot down and you knew what you wanted.
Yes. Probably the first deal, in all fairness, I probably paid maybe a little bit too much for it.
Okay.
Not massively, but in hindsight, I look back and I think, actually, that wasn't right. Or,
Sure.
that stock isn't as great as they made out. They're not huge. They weren't huge things. They weren't thousands and thousands. So, I probably thought, actually, if I redid that deal now with what I know, I might have negotiated slightly different on it. But that one now is our best performing salon out of the group.
Oh, very good. Interesting.
So, yes. Yeah.
Very interesting. And what sort of criteria do you look for now then?
Now I look at their what equipment they've got in the salon. I look at the staff. I look at how long they've been there. I look at things like their qualifications, because in our industry, things are becoming regulated over a period of time. So that will be a future cost if people's qualifications aren't quite. So we look at that. I have a look at their team structure as well. Do they have a manager? Is it very owner-led? If the diary is very owner-led, that's going to be a big problem on completion.
And do you physically look at the diary? Do you actually look at so you can see if the owner's name is appearing a lot?
Yes. Yeah, a lot of our booking systems now allow you to have like a read-only access, a bit like a lot of accounting softwares now as well. It's the same on booking. So we will go in, we'll look at things like staff utilisation, just literally the whole day-to-day element of how it looks. There are times when sometimes I might go, if it's fairly localish, pop by just at several times of the day, just to, see what footfall's like.
Oh, you could sit across the road with a counter and count the number of people walking past.
I have a look on social media, look at reviews.
So this is the commercial due diligence, isn't it? That's what you're doing yourself.
Yes.
And then you get someone else to do the financial due diligence.
Yeah, I get some support with that. I have got quite good at looking at profit and loss and balance sheets and bank statements.
Were you before?
No.
Okay. So again, this is interesting. So buying a business is not just buying a business. It's the personal development that we've already talked about. But you actually become a better business person, don't you, as a result?
Yeah, definitely. And definitely learning that those figures do tell a story, and that, the seller might tell you one story, but actually those accounts tell a whole different picture of it. They go, oh, my accountant's quite creative. And I'm like, fab, but that's really good, but it's not good when you come to sell, because they don't look at...
So you've had the benefit with that creativity in the past. You can't then ignore that benefit and try and have another benefit in the future.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And one thing that we do now, which we didn't do as in-depth in the beginning, is actually get all the bank statements, download them into Excel and run some really good cash flow and look at the trends, because there are trends in our industry. So we're quite sort of aware of when they are, and just make sure it follows a similar pattern. So yes, there's definitely a lot more financial due diligence that's done now.
Very good. Very good. So you're positive about the future?
Yes.
I know a lot. Well, you've worked very hard, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you've encountered lots of situations that you may not have encountered otherwise.
Yeah.
But does it not make you a stronger person?
Definitely. I mean, like we spoke about mindset earlier. Mindset has been a big thing for me. I do feel at times I have been attacked, like by people in my industry, by staff, by a whole group.
Yes.
And sometimes it does play on your mind. I'm still human. I'm still human.
I understand that.
I'm very hot on being sort of hard in business. I don't know. I just, but I do think I still do have a heart somewhere in there.
Yes, I agree. And, you've got to develop that sort of thick skin, that sort of thick outer shell, I suppose. But, it's just the nature of having a more public profile that people are going to take pot shots on it. But you know what? They're jealous. They're jealous that you've done it, and they've never done it, never will do it, and they don't like it that you've been successful and they haven't. So but I get what you're saying. So people who watch this video, listen to this podcast, might be thinking, do I join Mastermind or not? That's what they're thinking, and they're sitting on the fence. What would you say to those people?
Just go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Like if you are serious about wanting, to grow your business, for me, it was about lifestyle as well. I wanted a better lifestyle. I wanted a better future. I wanted choices. Definitely. I haven't ever at any point regretted the decision I've done. But you've got to be committed as well. You've got to do the work. So if you feel that you can definitely put the work in, and it wasn't even hours of work looking for deal, it wasn't hours and hours a day. Definitely go ahead and do it.
What about return on investment?
Oh my God, massive. Yeah, I don't even think about it now. So, when you kind of sign up and you think, okay, I've got to make it work, that's personally how I look at it. If I'm going to put a financial commitment to it, I know I need to do the work. I need to make sure I get a return on that. And my husband needs to make sure I get a return on that, because he actually never knew about the investment till deal number 2, I think.
Okay.
And then I told him, because it was all okay, because it was all starting to work.
Well, because you'd proven that it was a sensible thing to do.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're prepared to commit and put the work in, you do get rewarded for your commitment. That's it.
Cara, thank you so much for coming in. I look forward to meeting you on the next podcast interview, where we'll talk about what happens after you buy a business.